So, we got our hands on something pretty special, a rare, free-ranging conversation between two of the sharpest AI podcasters out there. We've boiled it all down to give you an insider's briefing. This is your chance to be a fly on the wall and hear what the experts are really talking about when they're talking to each other. Okay, let's dive right in. What makes this so valuable is that it's a totally unfiltered look at the state of AI. These are people whose entire job is to cut through the noise, to figure out what's real, what's just hype, and, what's actually coming around the corner. All right, let's kick things off at the very foundation, the AI models themselves. Because right away, we run into this really fascinating contradiction that's playing out across the entire industry. Honestly, I think the biggest shock for everyone this past year was just how fast open source models like DeepSeek got good. They closed the performance gap with the giants like OpenAI way faster than anyone predicted. You know that huge, uncrossable moat everyone thought the big guys had? Yeah, well, it's suddenly looking a lot more like a puddle. But here's the paradox, right? If these open models are getting so good, you'd think big companies would be falling all over themselves to use them. Well, they're not. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. So just how low is the adoption rate? Get this, it's estimated to be around 5%. Just 5. And the truly wild part is that some analysts think this number isn't just staying low, it might actually be going down. So what's going on here? Why aren't they jumping on these cheaper, almost as good models? Well, it's because big companies right now, they're not trying to save a few bucks. They're in use case discovery mode. All that matters is finding that killer app, finding what works. And for that, you just grab the biggest, most powerful hammer you can find, which is still usually a closed source model. They'll worry about making it cheaper later. Okay, so let's move up the stack to the application layer. This is where the rubber really meets the road, and where we can start to separate what's actually making waves from what's just, a bunch of hype. First, we've got to talk about this term GPT wrapper. For a while, people used it as kind of an insult, right? Like you were just putting a pretty face on someone else's tech. But now, that whole idea has been completely flipped on its head. It's now seen as the absolute smartest way to build. And this quote just says it all. You've got hugely successful founders like Arvin from Perplexity who are just leaning into it. The philosophy is super simple. Build something people actually want, solve a real problem for them, and then you can worry about all the complex tech underneath. So where is the smart money going? Well, the experts think all these frameworks for building autonomous AI agents are a little overhyped right now. Maybe just too early. But the underhyped opportunity? Stateful memory. The idea of giving an AI a real long-term memory is a massive game changer. They're also less excited about brand new model companies and way more interested in practical things like private cloud compute and really, really good AI customer support. And all of this leads us to, well, the billion-dollar question. If almost everyone is building on top of the same few foundational models, how in the world do you build a real defensible business? Where's the moat? The early thinking was that you absolutely had to have some unique dataset or your own custom model to win. That turned out to be a complete head fake. The real path to building a lasting AI company looks surprisingly familiar. The reality is, winning in AI comes down to the same old things that have always mattered in software. It's about building a brand people know and trust. It's about creating network effects. It's about moving incredibly fast, obsessing over the user experience, and, this is a big one, doing the hard, boring, unglamorous integration work that nobody else wants to touch. Okay, so for our last section, let's look out to the horizon. Let's talk about the massive, unanswered questions that the pros are wrestling with right now, because the answers to these are going to define the next decade of AI. First up, reinforcement learning. We know it works amazingly well for stuff like code because you can easily check, right? Does the code run? Yes or no? Simple. But what about something subjective, like law or marketing or creative writing? There's no single right answer. If we can't crack that problem, we might just get stuck with better and better copilots, not the truly autonomous agents we've all been dreaming of. Second, there's the hardware bottleneck, and it is a big one. The experts talk about this rule of nines. Basically, to get an AI from 99% reliable to 99.9% reliable, it takes an order of magnitude, like 10 times more compute. As we demand more and more perfection from these systems, where is all that power going to come from? And third, maybe the trickiest one of all, is security and trust.
I mean, just think about it. As AI agents start acting for us online, buying things, sending emails, how do we know an agent is who it says it is? How does Amazon know it's your agent and not some scammers? We urgently need some kind of digital passport for AIs and SSO for agents to prevent total chaos.
So here's the crucial point to leave you with. Solving any one of these problems, subjective reasoning, the compute crunch, or agent identity, it's not just going to be some academic breakthrough. Whichever team cracks any one of these will almost certainly unlock one of the largest economic opportunities in human history. The race is on.